Well, I was going to get a comment where you the first one and the second one.
My dad's not here, he'll come back.
Shabbat Shalom. We'll begin the same way we always do, taking a moment of silent reflection, thinking about what the week has been like, the highs, the lows, what you like to carry with you into Shabbat, and what you'd like to leave behind. If there's something in your life that you'd like to share with us to lift our spirits, we'd love to hear it. Mary, go ahead.
5 years ago, I was part of the B'nai Mitzvah class of 10 ladies, and it was a wonderful experience. And ever since then, every 3 to 4 months, we meet on a Sunday morning for brunch. And it's just to keep that going. And it's just wonderful. Not everyone can always meet, but we just did it again this past Sunday. And it's just really nice to keep in touch with these ladies. And
I can't believe it's been 5 years. I'm gonna repeat it for those who couldn't hear. So Mary was saying that 5 years ago she had an adult bat mitzvah class of 10 women, and that every 3 or 4 months they get together for brunch and they sort of keep the energy going, and they just did that on Sunday. So what else?
I'm happy that I'm here for a whole other year.
It's been a year?
Well, no,
No.
not here. Just
just had
my
a big
birthday.
birthday.
That's true. A happy birthday to Claire. I was like, wait, that's awesome. What else? Go ahead.
I'd like to hear any feedback if anybody's been to the Holocaust Museum.
Yes, I think several of you were at Saturday night's gala. Amazing. 800 people. Wait, speak specifically about your relationship. Why was it amazing for you, Millers?
Okay, my father, you may have seen in the Enquirer, he was featured on the front page of the Enquirer on this past Sunday, and of course the Israelite yesterday, today, whatever.
So I'm just going to say that, wait, real quick, pause. So Al Miller, who is Fred's father, was in the front page of the Enquirer and in the Israelite. Keep going.
The article is about his experience growing up in Germany under Hitler, how he and his family escaped first to England and then to the United States. Then he went back to Germany just after the war ended to interrogate German prisoners to find out how big of a Nazi they were and make recommendations what to do with them. So the article is all about them. The museum itself has a number of his artifacts, photographs, and other objects, along with many other survivors from Cincinnati. So it's a very enlightening experience. Everybody should take a trip.
So maybe Al will give us a special Shalom tour.
Fred is a docent.
Oh, and Fred is a docent? Oh, I forgot that you did that. Carrying in the tradition, that's amazing. That's really gorgeous. Go ahead, Jan.
Well, this wasn't this past week, but on Martin Luther King Day, I'm part of the Martin Luther King Chorale, and we sang at the Freedom Center, and it was really fabulous.
It was a very cold day to be singing in the chorale.
Very cold day, but we were inside, so singing. So it was really nice. So anyway, I'm just putting in a push for next year.
To be on the MLK choir.
If anybody wants to join the MLK Chorale.
I love, right.
It's a really nice thing, and the kids from Rockdale and the Muslim school and the Cincinnati public schools, they sang.
Right, they had a joint
and
children's choir.
drummers, and it's just a very uplifting thing.
That's
So,
awesome. Well, I'm really glad that you represented our community in that kind of way. Any other positive energy to bring in? Okay, how about any guests who haven't been here or haven't been here a long time that want to introduce themselves, and you don't have to, you can just be among us. Go ahead.
I'm Tracy Zell. I'm the rabbi this week.
In her optometrist's office. It's even worse than that. Laura said, oh, I met this wonderful woman and she helped me with my eyes. You should go see her. And I go and see her. And she turns out to be Jewish. And that's like, that's how it all works. So we're so glad. I'm so glad you chose today. Yeah. Anyone else? So I'm just going to shout out, my dad's not going to like this. So my father's here from Belgium. Yes, look, he's like the bride. And Papa, stand up because they're all looking at you. Yeah. So yeah, my dad's in for just till Tuesday, just it's a little bit less than a week, and hasn't been here in 3 years, so it's a big deal to have him in town. And then I want to welcome our online community, even though you're not part of our walls. I know a lot of you are staying home tonight, which is great. Stay safe. You are part of our prayer space, and I know my mom's here, so she's going to want a special hi because he got a hi. So, and to everyone else who's online and worshiping us that way, that you're part of us. So we'll begin our official welcoming of Shabbat on page 2 and 3, and I welcome Donna to light our candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Together on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue with welcoming Shabbat as if she were a bride on page 20 with Lecharoji singing verses 1 to 5 and then rising with 9.
Shabbat
we're honoring tonight is the memory of an amazing man. It is the year anniversary, the yard site, the first anniversary of the passing of Joel Newberg. And Walter's actually sitting in his spot right now, the nerve. Yes. And I know, I don't think I've seen you in the front row, Anne, in, I don't know, a long time. So one of the things you do on the year anniversary of someone's passing is an unveiling, and it would have been a very cold unveiling this week. And so Anne and I were talking about this season and what do you do and why do you do the unveiling? So unveiling is supposed to take 11 months or 1 year usually, right after the passing of somebody. And the purpose of that is, there's many reasons for it, but the proper sort of psychological reason is that you live through your firsts. The first birthday, the first Hanukkah, the first Passover. And then the unveiling itself is the lifting of the veil of grief. And supposedly underneath that veil was sort of a scarring over of the deepest, hardest parts of grief. Now, anyone, I think, who has experienced grief knows that that's partially true, but there's all kinds of things that scratch at that wound for the rest of your life. And the hole that someone after 54 years at your side leaves doesn't just take a year to move forward from. That's the rest of your life that you're looking at. So what Anne chose to do is, instead of being outside in the cold, lifting a small sheet over a stone, to do an unveiling in this process, in this way. And the reason we're doing it this part of the service is because on Shabbat, you're welcoming extra souls into your space. And maybe you're not your best self, or maybe you're hard on yourself, or all kinds of things happen during the week. But on Shabbat, you got 24 hours just to be like a teensy bit better, just to sort of aspire and like believe in yourself a little bit more and just sort of hold on to that goodness. And that same concept is true when it comes to memory and to death, that when you share someone's name through story in a positive way, you're getting them closer to God or the Infinite One or heaven, whatever word you want to use for that. But you're bringing them closer to wholeness and love. And so sharing a story about someone and using their name in a positive way is one of the greatest mitzvot you can do. That's why we name children after people that we've loved, so that you're carrying their memory through joy into the next phase. So Noel and Anne are going to share 2 short stories about Joel, and then we'll continue on. And I hope that you'll think about him in this way. And the other way we're going to do that is that Joel, for those of you who don't know, made amazing challah. So he's a big guy, pretty gruff, staunch opposite politics as me, and yet he'd bring this homemade challah in almost every Shabbat, and it was amazing. And so we're going to have a challah bake, a month from now, and for all ages at 5 o'clock, sponsored by the Brotherhood, so that all different genders and all of us together can learn how to do this together and bake in his memory. So that's the other way we're doing it. So I'm going to invite Noel up, and then Anne.
So I feel honored that Anne asked me to say a few words. Years ago, I somehow let it be known at a Brotherhood meeting that I was burning out, and I needed some assistance in running things, and the first person to respond to me was Joel Newberg. Perhaps it was his approach of caring and his method of explaining how he wanted to help, but forever after, I seemed to be the only person in the room who never thought of Joel as gruff. Oh, he could give short answers, and he could contradict you, but he never seemed gruff to me. He took his job as Brotherhood treasurer very seriously, watching where every dime went, from both an ideological and a responsibility viewpoint. To Joel, everything needed to be structured and consistent. Whenever he explained scientific or technical information to me, I always marveled at his engineering knowledge. During our hours in wine club, Joel enjoyed the learning, though as a diabetic, he could never really enjoy the wine or the food. Certainly he and I differed in our attitude, like, for instance, attitudes. An afternoon at a shooting range does not appeal to me. But underneath Joel's conservative stance was his Boston background and his diverse family that he loved devotedly, and his willingness to help. So I think that was, conservativeness was, I spent many hours with him doing brotherhood tasks. Perhaps the most enjoyable was watching him enjoy the March Madness pool. We sat at the temple and joked while we took in bracket sheets, and that reminded me that Joel always insisted that we have beer at the temple, which we never really drank. It was just beer at the temple, in case somebody decided to drink it. I would spend more time praising him, but I thought a couple other brotherhood guys had some great insights as well. Richard Barish said that he always thinks about Joel's comment that the day he retired, he burned all of his neckties. And he always saw it as a reflection of his down-to-earth and humble nature. There's something metaphoric about his burning ties and entering a new phase of his life, looking forward with hope and not looking back. And Ray Habib truly loved Joel. He said that Joel was an amazing individual. He adored his wife and family. He was always looking for an opportunity to make the world better, whether it was by baking challah or bringing a smile to people's faces. His sometimes gruff persona masked a very soft heart. He was a rare combination of a people person and an operations expert. He could get any job done quickly and efficiently. His dedication and contribution to brotherhood are sorely missed. While his memory continues to be a blessing, his absence makes our world less complete.
I don't know if I can follow that. Okay. Well, thank you, Rabbi, for allowing us to opportunity to speak on the anniversary of his passing, and time of sadness and a time of celebration of his life. And I'm glad people have really good memories of him, because I do too. Okay. He was a unique individual. In the scheme of things, the thing I most treasure is that he believed in being true to himself. He always encouraged me to be true to myself also, even knowing that I was often on the other side of the opinion from him. But we did manage to survive 54 years. It was good. Yeah. In reference to last week's sermon, we always wound up our differences of opinion with one line. And that was either one of us would say or both of us would say, this is the truth as I see it. And it got us through many, many tough situations. Okay, and one of the things we both believe is that you have to be present in the moment, involved, participating to realize the benefit of any situation. And his participation in Temple Shalom over the past years, and particularly during his tough years when he was failing, just was a great comfort to him and to me that he had someplace to go on a Friday night and share. The thing about belonging to a temple is more than showing up for services. It's participating in activities, it's becoming involved with other Tavir and Chaverin. Oh, like that. And supporting the community and being part of a family. And truly, Temple Shalom was a very important part of Joel's family. Thank you. Thank you all for helping us through some tough times and for helping me to continue knowing that I have the support of my wonderful adult kids who call me almost every night and my adopted Temple family. Thank you, Rabbi.
RJ and Helena.
One or two. Hi.
One or two of them. So, yes, hi, Jane. And thank you for honoring that. I'm sure we all have our own memories like that. And of course, those of us who have experienced loss connect to this in all kinds of ways too, that our own loss and memories are connected with yours and with Joel's. And with that, I want to continue on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. And this is just this beautiful, mystical, traditional, which he would appreciate since we're messing with the rest of the service, mystical idea of welcoming an angel to rest beside you, and that there's more wholeness in the world than we can ever imagine, and we do this through this welcoming spirit. And I think that Joel was able to do that, and hopefully evoking those memories will lead us to that. So that's page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaarei, Malachei 36. Yitkara vikara shmeraba. Yama divra hirute. Yamlich machute. Becha yechon uvyomechon. Evchayetacho bet Yisrael. Bagala visman karif. Veyimeru. Yehesh meraba mevorach. Le'olam olam eomaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei kedusha leila min kol brachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran v'yama v'yimeru. We rise for a call to worship, page 28.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Together at the bottom of page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Responsively at the bottom of page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Pitem kadoshim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem meretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem Mehmet. The top of page 39, we read responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together. Continue with Hashkivenu, we acknowledge that the world is imperfect and full of darkness. And in order to reach and aspire for peace, we have to build a shelter between other human beings in the world, to offer shelter and defense and kindness. So we continue with Hashkivenu on page 42. Shamru at the top of page 44, acknowledging the joy of passing the covenant from generation to generation. Beginning on page 46, and we're going to stay on the even side pages for a little bit.
imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagador, Hagibor, V'Hanorah, Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zoker Hasnei Avot V'Imahot, V'Mevi Gula Lifnei Benehem, Lama'at Shamo Be'ahava, Melech Oseh U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Marib Ad Hashem, Mechagel Chayim B'Chesed, Mekayei Hakol B'Rakamim Rabim, Sohomech Noflim B'Rafei Cholim, U'Madir Asarim, U'Mekayei Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mikamocha Gevorot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechayei, U'Masiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kodoshim B'cho Yom Yahaleluya Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated as we continue at the bottom of page 57 together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance, and let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch Atah Adonai, Sha'orcha Levadcha B'yir'ah Na'avod. We continue on page 60 with our hope for abundant peace.
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki Atah Hu Melech Adon, Le'chol HaShalom. Ki Atah Hu Melech Adon, L'chol HaShalom. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
If Shalom Rav, the abundance of peace and well-being, is our hope, then the way to get there is to work on the parts that need all the healing in body and spirit and mind. Our hearts turn to the needs of healing for those who are in hospital beds, in nursing facilities, and in their own homes. Those who are incarcerated, those who are struggling with addiction, those who are struggling with deep grief, new diagnoses and old diagnoses. Oh, and the homeless right now in this cold weather, and separated children looking forward to connecting back with family or hoping for that. Our government workers who are trying, hopefully, to build towards a new solution. All this pain in the world that we hold. In the same breath, we think about those who are working towards healing and wholeness in body, mind, and spirit. Our doctors and our nurses and our therapists and our counselors and our shelter workers, and each of us in our own way, aspiring and working towards healing and wholeness. If you'd like to mention someone's name who is in need of healing in body, mind, or spirit, or your own name, we'll start here and go nice and slowly, so anyone who'd like to share a name may do so.
Kelly Katz. Nostra.
Dominic Watkins, Wanda Johnson.
Eileen Ness.
Elise Parker.
Roberta Applebaum, Barry Ostron, Judy Avner, Mira Barner, Marcy Bine, Sheila Boniface, Chava Leah, Tricia Farver, Elaine Frankowski, Esther Sima, Jerry Goodwin, Dr. Meryl Goldman, Ethan Kadish, Gita Knudsen, Skylar Kuntz, Yael Kraus, Jan Kravitz, Lee Krenick, Elaine Heitfield, Mel Hudson, Tony Janitas, Ira Lerner, Doris Lerner, Lou Levy, Joan Lieb, Marcy Maxwell, Rhoda Meyer, Eileen Ness, Nancy Newmark, Phil Ryan, Connor Reaver, David Rose, Betty Roth, Bob Rubin, Aaron Ruder, Karen Schwartz, Iris Sham, Kathy Singh, Archbishop Chuck Smith, Anna Sprague, Lisa Steele, Mahaya Stoneman, Lou Strauss, Susie Warschauer, Ann White, Haroldine Ukelson, Fran Victor, Chaim Ben Yaakov, and Nechama. We include everyone we mentioned out loud and those we hold in our hearts, and each of us, because we're all on a journey towards healing in some way. If you want to follow along with me, it's on page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu V'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak V'Yakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah V'Varech Et HaCholim Ha'eleh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh Rachamim Alehem L'Chach L'Imon Fatam V'Chazikam V'Yishlach Lehem Meher Refuah Refuah Shlema Min HaShamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Hashta Bagalal Vizman Karif Venumar
The ones before us, help us find the courage.
private prayer, either with the words of your prayer book or the words of your heart.
Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yeshvet Havel, Ve'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Israel, ve'al kol yeshvet havel, ve'imru, Amen. Ya 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 Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvet Havel, Ve'imru, Amen.
I'm really into this new-ish Torah commentary by Rabbi Shai Held. And I mean, if you want to like dork out on amazing Torah commentary, get that book because it's so good. I didn't even get a laugh. All right. So he has this beautiful statement. He says that the Torah's central project is to turn memory into empathy and moral responsibility. Memory into empathy and moral responsibility. And the case study he uses for this concept is the way that we talk about slavery. That a response to slavery is that we teach, do not oppress the stranger. Wherein we could have said in response to slavery, because we were tyrannized, exploited, and no one did anything to help us, we don't owe anyone anything. We only need to be for our own people. That could just as easily have been the response to slavery. But the commandment is to remember what it feels like to be a stranger. It's connected completely to our sense of feeling about what happened to us. So the commandment isn't really about the facts, but it's about, the commandment is to be compassionate, to search into our memory and resonate with the story and experience of the vulnerable, even if we're no longer directly experiencing it. That we should not oppress the stranger because we know exactly where the oppression leads. And the truth is that each of us have both personal and collective memory or experiences of suffering or abuse by those that had power over us. For some of us, these experiences were rare, or are rare, or completely in the past. And for others of us, it's something that we continue to experience on a daily basis. And what happens to us as individuals is reflective of our collective identity. Instead of dismissing what happened to us both as individuals and as a collective, we're supposed to remember to act with compassion and grace in the face of vulnerability, which may or may not come naturally. It comes naturally to resist it and say, I don't want a part of that. I've passed that part of my life, and now I'm moving on. It's way harder to confront vulnerability and see our own vulnerability in it. So the Torah cites this relationship between stranger and knowing their struggle 36 times, which we know as a holy number of. You're sleeping tonight. Double high. It's 2 times life, so sort of high with a jump up. But the very first time that we read this commandment is in this Torah portion, Mishpatim. So why now are we given this commandment? Why is this all of a sudden this compassion for other people and the vulnerable important? So in the story we're at, in case you haven't been reading every day, is we've just escaped slavery. We witnessed a miracle at the sea. We began to walk through the wilderness, and just last week encountered Sinai, the revelation of our people. And now we're moving into from the ethereal element of Sinai to the how do we actually live that out. So this portion is about rules, because what needs to always follow vision is a plan on how we're going to do all that. Our synagogue knows that quite well. Right? Dream big, but figure it out on the way. So the way that our people transforms divine inspiration from abstract ideals into a categorized reality that we actually can implement is through this example of compassion. We implement through compassion. And the Torah says, we know it takes time. You're not naturally compassionate for other people. So the example that Shahel uses, which I think is beautiful, is is around slavery itself. And it comes in this portion. It says, if you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall go free without paying anything. Slavery transformed from a condition of birth to a temporary circumstance. So we still believe in slavery, even though we've been slaves, and we say don't oppress a stranger and you should get rid of slavery. And yet we are saying, okay, but there's a way out. And that in itself was revolutionary. You're born one way, but you can become another way. And we're saying that as Jews, we do this all, of course, throughout Torah. We do it with all kinds of practices that are now archaic. We believe are archaic, slavery, polygamy, and even in cases of dietary practices. So kashrut looks really different over the course of our time as a people. And we say, listen, we can't abolish the things that we don't agree on. We can't abolish the fact that we don't want to take too much from one animal. We can't abolish the fact that we're never going to take advantage of other people. But with time, we can give people steps to change from what they're used to doing into something better. This Torah portion is a lot less memorable than last week's Sinai's revelation or next week's golden calf. But it's for the first time in the Torah of the really, really long journey to becoming God's people by taking care of one another. It's the first time we really start to say, how do we actually care for other people now that we aren't just fighting an oppressor, we're actually working towards something bigger. And in that is the message about choosing how we react to anything. That the Torah is trying to cultivate compassionate responses rather than allowing rage or the combative side of us to win. And Torah is trying to teach us that muscle of compassion. So in this portion, the way we're reading our compassionary notes is through lo ta'aseh. Do you know what lo ta'aseh is? You know what lo maybe is? No, you shall not. You shall not oppress the stranger. So all through Exodus, most of our rules are being given in that format. Don't do this, guys. Like, you can do everything else, just please don't do this part. So you shall not. In Leviticus, in our next book, it goes to aseh. So if it's lo ta'aseh, is you shall not. So what's aseh? You shall. You shall. So it might go into you shall care for the other person. So it goes from this don't hate that person to like try to take care of them. And then Deuteronomy, we change the word completely to ohev, ahava, love. It takes us a long time to get to love. If we had started out with just love the stranger, it would probably be impossible. Right? To love the thing that are difficult is quite aspirational. And this is where I think the Torah is at her most wise, for upholding the truth that we are a flexible people, that we can change, but we're not born amazing and loving everything in peace and love. We have to work to bring love to our table and build tolerance. So I think what the Torah is asking us to do is say, hey, at the very least, bring tolerance to your space. And if you can't bring tolerance, then just avoid the hate. Because if you avoid hate, then maybe you'll listen long enough to see someone else's point of view, and you'll remember what it felt like at another time in your life when you were misunderstood or misrepresented or just really different than the person standing in front of you. And that once you see another person's humanity, hopefully you'll see yours also. And then you can try not just to avoid conflict, but to engage one another, trying to find places where we are alike and how we can connect. And then, if we're lucky, we'll eventually know love. And how powerful is that promise when the love we want to build is with people we never expected to love in the first place? That reminds me of Joel. In all kinds of ways, right? How powerful it is to build someone with someone we don't expect to build anything with, and that people we never realized that we actually would connect with, that we could share a similar experience with, not just because we want the same things, like freedom, community, and health, and God's grace. Like, we want all of these things, but we need to do it with people that aren't always like us. I think our congregation tries really hard to do this in all kinds of ways. Hopefully you saw our newest video. If you haven't, shout out for it. Go on Facebook after Shabbat. But I think that the mission of our congregation is just to try to build bigger bridges, not just with the people we already know and love, and it's obvious that we're part of it, but also with groups of people who are trying just as hard as we are to be compassionate. And we're not always going to agree. In fact, we may never agree on some things. But broadening the circle of the people who treat memory as a roadmap to empathy. These are the people we want to build relationships with. So if we can move away from the MSNBC and Fox News divide, or just that darn wall that's trying to be built on our border, if we can move away from having to argue with that, and just try to lo ta'aseh, the thou shall not approach. Let's try that approach. And try and see the heart of where they're coming from. And then slowly work towards aseh, just doing good together. Healthy conversation, and aspire that someday I can work from lo ta'aseh to aseh, to ohev, to ahava, to love, just like my Torah is asking me to try to be. So in that spirit, we're going to sing a song, which you have in your little book. And if you don't have it in your book, then you can fake it, or you can partner with somebody who has it. It's a half sheet, so get your reading glasses out. So hum this to yourself. Sorry, no, I was like, you go, Marcia.
Let there be no strangers in our midst. Let there be no our neighbors as ourselves, all are welcome here. Aknasat Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Aknasat Orchim, we are holy, we are one. Let the scared and lonely find a home, let there be no fear. Here our people find an open door, all are welcome here. Aknasat Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Aknasat Orchim, we are holy. All who love, who dream a world anew, let there be no fear. Sister, brother, those of every age, all are welcome here. Aknasat Orchim, we are welcome, we are loved. Aknasat Orchim, we are holy, we are one.
I welcome Mel up to share some announcements, and as he's walking up, I just want to thank Donna and Ed and Micah and Dr. Bailey. Just nice big font.
We'll start with a prayer for our community. May Adonai, the source of life, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, bless this entire congregation of Temple Sholom, together with the synagogues in Cincinnati and all holy congregations in this world. Bless our community, our children, our families, and all that is theirs, along with those who unite to establish synagogues for prayer and those who enter them to pray, those who devote countless hours of their lives so that our synagogues may be a thriving place of spiritual welcoming. May the Holy One reward those who contribute to our community with healing, forgiveness, and personal strength. May God bless them by prospering all their worthy endeavors, as well as those of the entire people of Israel. Let us say, Amen. Now, for announcements, we have the Shabbat-ish, an alternative, creative Jewish experience. It will be the 22nd here, February 22nd, 6:30, informal seating on the floor, so it'll be interesting. I don't know what it'll be like, but come and find out. Mishloach Manot, the Purim gift event. We do this every year. Purim gift packages are distributed to a variety of people. If you'd like to donate and gift some package to any party you want to the Temple Sholom staff, the details are here on the form. And also we need volunteers to help with that. So if you'd like to volunteer, besides buying them, that's fine too. Camp scholarships are listed here. And Rabbi Walter continues the Prophets and King classes. Peggy Ekman, who's seated here, does Tai Chi. Classes are listed there. And if you want to sponsor an oneg anytime, that's fine. Just call the office. Women of Temple Sholom has the dining out sponsored by Women of Temple Sholom. At Mio's, the Blue Ash, details are there in terms of signing up. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. Shul and Fuel, where are you going tonight?
Smash Burger.
Smash Burger. Okay, so for those who don't know, you shul, then you fuel. Everyone's just welcome to go and eat at Smash Burger tonight. And thank you, Anne, for sponsoring the oneg. It was wonderful. And she also made a special challah for us tonight.
And thank everybody that participated by bringing.
Thank you, everyone, for bringing all your special sweets. We indulged deliciously tonight. And then don't forget about the March 3rd event. We're going to, thank you, Noel, for speaking about Joel. And we're going to begin the conclusion of our service with Aleinu. And because I know you're hungry, we're going to just sort of do the one-liner of Aleinu, which is 286. You don't have to stand. We'll just read it together. 287. No, we're good. I know my group here. You're like, I'm hungry. So 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. I continue on page 288. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. We mourn the recent passing of Raymond Habib Sr., Frank Stapleton, and Kenneth Zmija. We honor the anniversaries of the passing, the yahrzeits of Dr. Donna Jean Levy, Alan Felknor, Robert Goldman, Tim Mathis, Carol Mathis Feaster, Natalie Buca, Ralph Heller, Edward Lurie, Kenneth Tickell, Raymond M. Boniface, Lucille Scott, Joel Newberg, Sela Rothenberg, Hannah Grossman, Shirley Himes, Adele Lauber Waldman, Max Wolfson, Charles Bingman. If you'd like to contribute a list of people that we're remembering or repronounce a name or share another name, please do so now. If you are in mourning or commemorating a yard site, please rise first. Acknowledge you, mourn with you, for your fathers and your grandfathers, for sisters and brothers and uncles and aunts and grandmothers and mothers, for friends. For all these loved ones, we rise together. For our prayer of affirmation on page 294. V'tkadal v'kadash shemeraba v'alma divrach irute v'amlich machute v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chaye zochol be'Israel v'galau v'zman kari v'imru Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam omei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei kedusha La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran b'alma v'himru Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. And may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated. We'll conclude with on 330 with Ki Esh Merah Shabbat, the joy of the Sabbath. 330. To our wine and our amazing challah. If you could connect to one another to receive a blessing. If you're not a toucher, just say, I'm not a toucher. If you're online, you can put your hands on whatever sort of works for you to feel like you're blessed in this moment.
Shalom.
upon you, be gracious unto you. And God's light does shine upon you. May whatever team you care about win the Super Bowl. And if you don't care about the Super Bowl, may you enjoy shopping peacefully and quietly at Costco during that time. And if not that, may you work from lo to aseh to hava. May you find love in this world and be part of the love and the healing that's part of it because you're in it. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Next speaker, we have Sophia Lassie. She's only playing the house.